In today's video, we're going to go over the basics of using Xcode. Let's begin. I opened up the Xcode app and I'm going to press Create New Project. As you can see here, there's a lot of different templates to choose from. You have multi-platform, so for every app, for every platform, you have iOS, macOS, watchOS, and so on. Today's video, we're just going to make a simple app for iOS and we're going to click the app template and we're going to press Next. For product name, you can name it whatever you want. So I'm going to name this Intro to Xcode. But again, you can name it whatever. For interface, I'm going to press storyboards, but you could also use Swift UI. For the language, obviously I'm going to pick Swift, and these other options you don't have to worry about. Now you can choose where you want to save it. I'm going to save my project in the desktop, so create. Now, Xcode has generated a few files for us. It generated appdelegate.swift or just appdelegate. It did sceneDelegate and viewController. These are the three main files that we're going to be working in. So let's say you want to use an image in your project, you would just drag it here. Let me see if I can find one. Here I have this weather pin image. I'm dragging it from my files into Xcode. And then later we could reference this image in our app. So this is where you put all your images. All right, let's get started. Up here, we're going to see our project name and we're going to see the simulator. You can choose from all of these different iOS simulators and you could see what your app would look like on different size devices. It doesn't matter which one you pick for this project. I'm going to pick the iPhone 16 Pro. All right, let's run our app. We're going to press this play button right here, or we could hit Command R. You can see here that it's building the app and it's installing our app to the iPhone 16 Pro. Now it's launching and here is our app. It's very uneventful. It's just a white screen. Let's fix that. We're going to go into our sceneDelegate. You don't have to worry too much about what's already written here. All of this code, we're not going to worry about it right now. But what we are going to focus on is this var window and it's of type UI window. Down here where it's defining our scene, so func scene, in this function, here, we're going to say window, that's this window up here, dot root view controller, and we're going to pick a view controller. Here, Xcode already created one for us. It's called view controller, but we can change the name of this. We can say main view controller, or we could just leave it as view controller. I'm going to go back to naming it view controller, but again, it doesn't matter what we name this as long as we remember the name. We're going to go back to our sceneDelegate, and so we said window.root view controller equals view controller, and we're going to put parentheses. All right, now let's run this again. This time it ran a little faster, but instead of white screen, it's black. If you take a look at this view controller class, we don't have anything set up here. All we did was call this viewDidLoad function. Let's take a look at this comment. Do any additional setup after loading the view. Once it loads this view controller, it's going to set up everything in this function. So let's do something fun. Let's get rid of this black color and let's make it something like blue. We're going to enter a few times here. We could even delete this comment. It bothers me, so I'm going to erase it. And I'm going to say view.background color, and we're going to say equals to dot. And here you can see we have a lot of different colors we can choose from. I'm just going to do dot blue. So view.background color equals dot blue. Let's run this. And now instead of a white or black background, we have blue. You could do whatever you want. You could also make it magenta or brown. Play around with it. It's entirely up to you what color you want the background. So what did we do so far? We created a new project. We went into our sceneDelegate and we rooted our view controller. Let's create a different view controller now. I'm going to hit Command N. And I'm going to create a new Swift file. You can see a bunch of different files here, but 99% of the time, what we're going to do is we're going to press a Swift file. This is for more advanced stuff, which we're not going to get into today. Now it's telling us to name it something. So I'm going to name this second view controller. Here it created a blank file for us. It didn't predefine a class and make it a view controller, and it didn't give us this viewDidLoad function. When we create a new file, we have to do this setup ourselves. So import foundation. Instead of importing foundation, because we're working with UIKit, we have to do import UIKit. And now we can create a different class. So we can say class second view controller. Sometimes Xcode will take a look at the file name and it realizes that you want to name this class the file name, so it will do it for you. Make sure your Xcode is up to date. It's just a little ease of life improvement from recent versions, which I appreciate a lot. And now we're going to put colon, and we're going to make it another UI view controller. We're going to put a curly brace, enter. It's going to close this curly brace for us. And inside here, we can just type in view did load, and it auto completes our function. Inside, we have to write super.viewDidLoad. It auto-completes for us there also. And here, we can do other setup. So let's make this view's background color light gray. And let's run it, see what happens. Why is it still brown? Well, that's because even though we created a second view controller, we didn't reference it anywhere. We didn't tell Xcode that it should run this file. So we're going to go back to scene delegate, and we're going to change view controller to second view controller. And now when we run this, we should have a light gray background. Awesome. Now let's go over creating folders. We're going to right click here and we're going to create a new folder. Folders help to keep your code neat and clean. In one folder, we can define all custom objects and put it in there, or we can define different extensions that we wrote. For this example, I'm just going to call it objects. Now with this folder selected, we can right click on it and we can do new file from template, or we could hit Command N again. Create a new Swift file, and I'm just going to call this, let's do my famous car example. It just created a blank file for us. In this car object, or this car file, we're going to define a car struct that we can reference in other files. So instead of import foundation, we could do import UI kit. Even though that's not really necessary for this, we can still define a struct here. We're going to name it car, and we're going to define a make and a model. Now in our view controller, we can create a function, func print or func create car. We're going to say let car equal car, and here's that struct that we created in a different file. We don't have to import or reference the name of this file in this one. It just automatically knows we're trying to call this car object from this car file. Now we can do Honda Civic. And for this example, again, we're just doing something simple. We're just going to type in print car.make. And now we can call this create car function. Oh, one thing you're going to notice is I didn't change which view controller we're rooting in the scene delegate. So I'm going to go up here and change it back to the view controller. Or I could have even defined this function in the second view controller. Again, it's all preference. Do what you want to do. And now we're going to run this. And we get Honda. We can also create another object here like song. We're going to type struct song, and the name, we're going to give it a name property, we're going to give it a artist property, and release here. Now going back to the view controller, same thing as before. We can also do create song. I was so close, it was 1987. And we can do whatever we want with this. So print, we could even print the whole song. Create car, and under that we can do create song. Run that, and we get Honda, and we get this whole defined song with the name, the artist, and the release here. So let's go over what we learned today. We created a new Xcode project. We rooted a view controller in scene delegate. We made a custom view controller that Xcode didn't give us. We created it from scratch, which wasn't that hard. We created a new folder, and within that folder, we put custom objects. We learned how to make basic functions, and we also learned how to change the colors of the view controllers. We didn't do anything too crazy here. We're just learning the basics of using Xcode. I hope this video served as a good tutorial on the basics of Xcode, and there are many more videos to come. If you have any other questions or any specific topics you'd like to see a video on, please let me know. There's a lot of other full project tutorials coming out, so stay tuned for those. As always, thanks for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing.